Arup were approached to redesign a kindergarten school for Ghana, a prototype school, and they were approached by a charity called the Sabre Charitable Trust, who are doing an educational charity working in Ghana, and we took this project on a pro bono basis. As the project leader, my role was to project manage the design team, which included a range of multidisciplinary engineers and architects. And also I was the lead structural engineer, so led the structural engineering team to create a safe school. So a typical school in Ghana is a 3-classroom linear block, poorly constructed, typically out of concrete and sandcrete blocks. They're very dark spaces, they're poorly ventilated. They have alu-zinc or metal roofing, which when it rains is very noisy, so school has to be cancelled. So the design criteria for the schools were it needed to be affordable, it needed to be sustainable in terms of the energy that the school used, in terms of the materials that it was built with, and from a socio-economic point of view. It needed to be conducive to kindergarten teaching, which is about learning through play, not blackboard and row teaching. And it needed to fulfil the needs and requirements of the stakeholders. At local level, there were the villagers, the teachers, the children, and the elders of the village. And their priority was really to have a school that that had a legacy in the village, and then they could use and maintain, and where they could teach kindergarten schooling. At district level, we had the local government, which was the Education Authority, and the District Assembly, and their interests laid in, particularly in terms of programme of building the school, the money to pay for the school, and how and they would own the school, so they also had an involvement, would have an involvement in maintenance and teaching, supplying teachers to those schools. At national level, we were looking at main government, so building a school that was integral to the educational strategy that the government in Ghana had, and also looking at different national NGOs, for example UNICEF and World Bank, and looking at the infrastructure that they were already doing in Ghana and how we could fit in with the work that they were doing. So the charity were a stakeholder because they're working in partnership with the government to roll out these schools throughout Ghana. Whilst southern Ghana is in a seismic zone, nobody in Ghana outside the main cities builds to seismic codes. Ghana does have its own seismic code, but it's based on an out-of-date American code. So through knowledge transfer, we had to educate on the importance of building buildings to seismic codes so that they don't fall down in earthquakes. As a design team, we wanted to use local materials that were sustainable and didn't want to use concrete. We favoured materials more like bamboo, mud, timber, for example. When we were doing some stakeholder consultations with the local villagers, it became apparent that they wanted a school that was built of concrete because they saw that as a sign of development. So it was important to us that we fulfilled their requirements by giving them what they wanted, so we left a workable legacy, but also teaching them on the use of sustainable local materials. So the skills that I brought to the project, as well as the whole design team, were really, I would say, communication as a key, particularly because the whole design was done in partnership with all the stakeholders. The school wasn't about us designing back in London for what we wanted for Ghana. It was about designing in Ghana with the stakeholders about what they wanted and translating their ideas into reality. So one of the things that we really wanted to do on this project was use local materials, but also teach the locals how the materials that they think are poor man's materials, how they can actually be used as a really durable material and sometimes can be better than what they think as modern materials like concrete or steel. So we used soil blocks on the project, which they make locally, but we taught them how to cure the blocks properly and add a little bit of cement to make them stronger than the local concrete blocks that you could buy in the towns locally. These have been a real success in both schools, and they've actually got a bit of a name for themselves in the area. Both schools that we've opened so far have doubled in attendance since they've opened. The space that they use is beyond, over and above from what they had before, and there isn't anything better than building a school that is really valued by the users.